Hello and welcome to The Hop, a podcast designed to help business owners and marketers alike to navigate the ever-changing landscape of marketing. I'm your host, Matt, and the owner of Purple Bunny Marketing, and today I am joined by Kira from River 949.
Hello.
Thank you for coming back.
No problems.
You didn't get scared off the first time?
No, it was fun.
It was fun. And we seem to be getting a lot of traction with it. People are asking questions, which is great.
Good.
So that's what we want.
Yes.
All right, so we're going to hop to it, and today we want to talk more around, I guess, crafting a commercial.
Yeah.
And help people and give some tips around that. So
good. Awesome.
Okay, first question. It was actually a question that got asked, believe it or not. We were talking about different commercials that are available.
Yes.
And someone has asked when and why would I use a 15-second commercial versus a 30-second commercial.
Okay.
So tell us.
So a 30-second commercial is how you tell the story of your brand. So it's like the who, what, when, where, why, points, difference, that sort of thing. We're not really trying to sell too hard in a 30-second commercial. So a 15-second commercial is about a call to action. It's a short-term, really short, sharp message.
Yes.
So if you're, case in point, right about now we're in sale mania.
Yes.
This time of year. So if you're looking to do some upcoming sales, Black Friday, Christmas, Boxing Day, Valentine's Day, any short, sharp messaging that you're trying to get across, 15-second commercial is great because you're turning around and going, here's the offer and here's how you get a hold of it.
Correct.
There may be a price point in there, but I'm not a big fan of price points because you kind of get this disparity around, somebody's going, oh, but I think it's worth X when they haven't even engaged with your business because of price points.
100%.
There's a bigger story about a price point, customer service, turnaround times, is delivery included or not included, all of these sorts of things that can change a price point.
Yes.
So, a 15-second commercial should be, here's the offer, here's how you get it. So buy one coffee, get one free, limited time offer.
Yep. Black Friday, 50% off.
Yep.
Yeah. Christmas time, order now and get it in time for Christmas, especially
Absolutely.
a lot of people wanting to buy and get things in time for gifts and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And in saying that, just because a 15-second commercial is a short commercial doesn't mean that it can't be impactful.
Yes.
When we do a 15-second commercial campaign for call to action, we're going, right, well, you want to hear that commercial 10 times a day.
Correct.
Over a short period of time. So we're not talking whole month. We might be talking about maybe a week, maybe 3 days, something really quite specific.
Yes.
In terms of duration of the campaign.
Yeah. And I guess another good thing to reiterate is from the last podcast where we talked about how the perception is that radio advertising can be expensive. That is a perfect example of where, rather than booking the wrong commercial placement and having that conversation with people like yourself, you could run a short burst campaign, save yourself a lot of money, run some 15s because that's what the offer is and that's what it needs to be.
Absolutely.
And it can be very effective.
Absolutely.
So,
We've even got clients who actually run 30-second commercials, and then when they do have a sale on, they then elevate their advertising with their call to action campaign. With the 15s. And then all of a sudden it's like, everybody knows our name. That they've been hearing the commercials, they've been talking about them, but then all of a sudden it's like this flood of business comes walking in the door, and it's like, because you asked them to come in, because you've got this limited time offer. So you've turned it from come in and see us sometime when you need us to come in today.
You've created the agency.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. All right, so hopefully that's answered your question. So what would be your simple tips to crafting the perfect commercial?
Know your point of difference.
Yes.
Know who you're trying to talk to.
Yes.
And what you're trying to talk about. So again, it comes like we just spoke about with the 15-second commercials. It's what are you trying to achieve? Yep. If you're trying to achieve I want people to know that we're this lovely company that, when you ring up, you're talking to the owner.
Yes.
You're going to get service within a certain time frame, because that's your point of difference.
Yes.
Why would they contact you? Because of the time service nature, or will actually pick up the phone, or there's a reason why somebody's going to talk to you versus your competitor.
Correct.
So it's generally the who, what, when, where, why that we want to know. But I think my number one tip is know who you're talking to, and it's not a 35-year-old female, it's someone who, and then complete that sentence.
Yes.
So someone who does the groceries, she's busy, she works a full-time job, that she thinks like this, she like get inside the head of the person you're trying to talk to, because that can turn a commercial from we do this, which is a terrible example of a commercial because it's a list. We don't do lists.
Correct.
We tell a story. So
yes,
if I can tell a story to a 35-year-old mum who's looking for, she's busy, she's a full-time worker, she's got 3 kids and they go to sport, and you're offering a service that can help her with XYZ.
Yes.
We can tell a story with that in mind and get that person to come through the door versus getting all confused about who we're actually trying to target.
Yes. Agreed. Yeah. And I think don't be scared to play with different concepts as well.
Absolutely.
I think people come in with a perception or an idea of what they want, and instead of allowing the creative process to kind of let it go in a direction that might be different than what they expected.
Well, some of the best commercials actually come out of, letting go, being brave with your brand. You've got, on our radio station, you've got a talking dog.
Yes, I hear it a lot.
So
sometimes I laugh, sometimes I don't.
And look, that particular client said we're trying to appeal to the dog owners, and they didn't want to be safe with their brand, and they knew what they were trying to achieve, and they knew a lot about themselves.
Yes.
And who they were trying to target. So this creative process then unfolded to create this commercial that is an absolute standout.
Yes.
And that it has a series of commercials behind it that always telling the same story.
Yes.
But then it's just going on a journey.
Yeah.
And I think that there's a lot of clients out there that can take a commercial on a journey. We've had ones in the past that have had some absolute fun with taking the, don't know how to say it without being rude. They've taken
the Mickey.
Thank you.
That's the term.
Yeah, you can put me out. So they've taken the Mickey out of soap operas.
Yep.
And they've actually created, the Days of Our Lives story on air, because they just went, this was fun. This was a little bit outside of the box that we play in, and they were being brave in the process of creating that commercial.
And I think that's the other thing that you have to understand when you're writing a commercial, and something we do, something I love doing actually. And Samuel on the previous podcast gets involved in that process. He's got a very creative mind, I guess. Is don't be scared. You've got to break that barrier when you're on radio. Yeah. Of every commercial blending together and sounding the same. Yep. So if you don't have not only your point of difference as a business and what you're promoting, but a point of difference that makes your commercial stand out, it's just going to blend. So some of our clients like it, and we do some scripting for them where it's a bit of tongue-in-cheek humour or something to open up the commercial. Or, we work with a client, a car dealership here in Ipswich, who's has 2 ambassadors. Yeah. And we play off of them. They're football players, and we let them kind of, one's playing in the women's league and one's playing in the men's league. Yep. So we've got them kind of having this battle about who's the better footballer. Yeah. And it kind of stands out because it has a point of difference. It gets people involved. And not only that, people know these ambassadors and hear their voices and things like that.
Yeah. And I mean, even if they... Well, even if they didn't know those ambassadors, they're also getting an insight into the brand of this particular dealership. So all of a sudden it's like this picture's painted of how I'm going to feel when I walk through the door. Correct. They're not going to, I don't have to take myself too seriously. Yeah. We're doing something serious, but we're not having to take all the fun out of it. Correct. Yeah. And I think that's important. I mean, in my own commercials, we've always tongue in cheek, a bit of light humour, and it's just a way to kind of break through. And when someone hears it,
have a bit of a chuckle to themselves.
Yeah.
And, you know, your dog ones that you referenced, they've got the same element in there as well.
Absolutely.
And clearly for cut through. And it works because I remembered them. I've been able to recall them. And that's the point is, can someone recall that what you've put out there? Basically.
That's exactly right. Because it's an interruption in your day. It's not like you're sitting there listening for the next
waiting
commercial.
for it. Yeah. Like we do.
Yeah. That's what we live and breathe.
Yes.
But you know, the typical listener, they're not sitting there going, oh, I can't wait for the next commercial.
Correct.
It's like, no, they're, you know, just an interruption into my day.
Yes.
So
100%, yeah. All right. So I think we've covered off some basic things for people to kind of consider when crafting a commercial. All right. So sometimes, and you mentioned it before, you know, sometimes people have got a list of services or a list of products that they want to promote and tell people. So they've got a lot of things to communicate. How can we do that effectively on air? And I know what I'm going to say, but what would you recommend that, you know, if I want to promote, for example, what we do, we have multiple services. We do social media, we do pay-per-click advertising.
Yep.
You know, we provide websites, we help with radio, we help with TV. You know, we're a full-service agency.
Yep.
So we want to let people know that we're not just in one little pocket. We've got several services that we provide. How can we do that?
Okay. So I'll use a plumber as an example because it's just it's a very relatable one.
Yep.
So most plumbers, their bread and butter, the thing that makes people go, I need you today, phone call, is the hot water system has carked it. Mm-hmm. You know, or a pipe has exploded. It's an emergency situation.
Yes.
So generally, hot water system is out.
Yep. Need
it replaced. Make a phone call. See what happens.
Yes.
What I say to a lot of businesses like that, because that's not just what they do. They have a lot of plumbing services from, you know, new build right through to renos, right through to, you know, down pipe systems and blah, and the list goes on.
Yes.
But for them, they go, this is the thing that gets people through the door. They experience my business and then we continue on the journey with them.
Correct.
So the first thing I say is start with your basic leader. What's the thing that's going to get people through the door? For McDonald's, it's either a cheeseburger, Big Mac, or a coffee.
Yep.
For a car dealership, it's generally going to be, I need a new car. So let's make the phone call. We're looking for this particular brand. And then the flow-on effect for them is ongoing servicing of that particular vehicle.
Yes.
So lots of businesses have lots of different things. That's their leader product or service. Mm-hmm. But with that in mind, if you've got a suite of various services that you have, so take yourself for example, if you went, the big thing at the moment that a lot of people are requiring help with is a website build.
Yep. We
want to showcase that. Start with that particular showcase commercial.
Yes.
Talk about websites, the who, what, when, where, why.
Yes.
And then have another commercial for a different product. At the end of the commercial, you can still tag it, you know, we're a full service agency. We can offer all of these sorts of things and more.
Yes.
Let your website do the talking about all of the services that you can do.
Yes.
And utilize the fact that you can, you know, tell the story of, we can help you with this particular product, but see our website if you need something else.
If you need something else, yeah. 100%. Yeah, I think that's a clever way. And I think there's other ways where you can, you know, leverage the benefits of, I mean, obviously if you've got a very small budget and you've got small amount of commercial placements, then 100% what you've just recommended I would agree with. However, if you've got the capacity, you've got the budget and you've got the spots, having a clever crafted commercial that intertwines, so you're telling a story over a series, is another way that you can do that by and effectively then communicate your services. You know, I know our recent ones that we did, for us were, you know, we kind of leveraged a joke at the start about is your website stuck in the 1980s, and you know we talked about social media. You know, are you still stuck on MySpace? We had some sort of joke at the start that kind of leveraged that and created that connectivity into the commercial, so that we could then promote each product and then space them out.
Well,
So
I love asking a question at the start of a commercial.
Correct.
When you're sort of stuck on not knowing what else to do in that,
Yes.
because all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, that's me. So you've
100%.
got their attention, and I love doing that in live reads, because all of a sudden, you know, the announcers are turning around and going, you know, are you stuck in the 1980s? Having Money or Campo say that from our breakfast show, that people go, well, sort of, not really. What are you talking about? And then they're already engaged and starting to listen further.
Yeah.
So from getting somebody's attention really in a short time frame, absolutely. They're in that buying cycle, or they're in that point of pain.
Yes.
So it's a great way to draw out that point of pain and address that.
Yes. Agreed.
And what you were talking about with somebody taking the journey, that doesn't even have to be over 1 month. They can actually take that journey over a couple of months' time.
Yeah, 100%.
And make sure that, you know, they take a month and talk about one particular product. Then the next month they take the next step and they talk about another product.
Correct. Yeah.
So, or, you know, for some people it's about season-based or event-based advertising.
Yep,
So it might be
100%.
that, you know, now Christmas is over, let's get ready for the remainder of summer. Or there's so many ways that you can do it. It's really hard to kind of tell it in a really short podcast episode.
Yes. Yeah, agreed. And I look, there's so many ways. I guess the key here is, you know, if you are in that position, consult someone, have a conversation with the likes of yourselves, or someone who crafts commercials like us, who can kind of give you some direction and some advice and guidance on that. But I think it is important to understand, you know, like you said, the plumber, if that's your core service and that's what you know is going to get people, then let's go with that. Let's get that going, because it's going to generate the high frequency. It's going to generate the leads getting in, and then if you look after that person, they'll just continue to use you. Next time they have some sort of plumbing related issue, Joe Blow looked after us, we're going to give him a call.
Yep, exactly.
And they just go back.
And then obviously the facts, it's like, oh, Kira, this has happened. Oh, well, my plumber is blah blah blah.
Yeah, 100%. And that's just how it works. 100%. So, all right. Last question.
Yep.
Because otherwise we'll get the wrap up from Nick soon, because we're going for too long. So how does a brand create consistency in their commercials? So, for example, we've all heard it, the Frank Walker ad, National Tiles. How do you create that level of consistency? Because now when you hear that, we know straight away what it is. We've made the connection, we've made the association. So how can people do that in their commercials?
So I've got two popular ways that I like to do that with clients. So one is, it's an industry term that's called a sonic identifier. So it's a sound that you hear. So for
like a bunny rabbit hopping in a commercial.
Bunny rabbit hopping in a commercial.
Sorry, I had to add that in. Just shameless plug, but had to do it.
Oh, go for gold! It's your podcast. For us, it's our sonic identifier is the River 949. So literally that gets inserted into the middle of, like, between two songs, and then all of a sudden you go, oh yeah, that's right, that's who I'm listening to.
Yes.
For Kyle and Jackie O, it's the sound of Kyle's voice.
Yes. Or for National Tiles, it's Frank Walker.
It's Frank Walker.
With his stupid voice. That sends us bonkers. But
so,
yes.
You know, probably everybody knows the sonic identifier of Toyota and McDonald's.
Yeah. Don't get me started about Toyota. But yes, the Oh What a Feeling. Everyone knows the Oh What a Feeling. Yep. For years they had the jingle with it, with the dun 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 dun.
Exactly.
And now McDonald's has got a jingle with theirs, with the sound. So everyone has something, and that's why it's done, is to create that consistency and connection with the brand.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly it. And you'll see or hear it quite frequently in when clients do jingles.
Yes.
So you'll have a jingle, but in there's always a consistent sound. So even if they don't do the full, what we call a full sing jingle,
yes,
where it's sung all the way through, they'll actually have a tag at the end that sits right at the end of the commercial, reminds you of who you were listening to.
Yep.
So always makes that client stand out just a little bit further.
Yes.
But a basic way that you can do that is through characters and voices.
Yeah.
So have a consistent voice that's like your voice for your commercial.
Yes.
And it doesn't have to be, your client, your particular voice, like the owner's voice.
No, that's right. There's so many people out there that you can get to voice your commercials.
Absolutely.
And then they become your identity.
Yep.
I mean, for how long? Not a client of mine, but a friend of mine, Michelle, who voiced Schulte's.
Yes. Yeah.
And I still have in my head, don't forget, take the overpass or whatever it is.
Yep,
What's the
don't
line?
go past, take the overpass.
Like just constantly, and it's in my head. And that's another thing, consistency in the messaging.
That's right.
Is important.
And that's why people have tags. So McDonald's had the I'm loving it.
Yes.
Oh, what a feeling Toyota. So, again.
Get your brand hopping.
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely can't forget that one.
Yes.
So these are the sorts of things that actually make brand recognition even easier
100%.
because it's just that little short, sharp tag or message or sound that makes you go, I know what that's about.
Yeah.
We actually have somebody who is on air. They're an airport.
Yep.
And they actually use the ding-dong sound that you hear before a PA announcement.
Yes, I've heard that.
And
yes.
then a plane taking off. That's their sonic identifier. It's so simple.
But clever and effective.
Really clever.
Yeah.
Really clever. And they would do the same thing in their commercials as they do in their sponsorships, as they do in... So wherever they can actually utilise it, insert it, keep it going, they're going to just keep doing that over and over and over again. Something as simple as a bike, like the bicycle bell.
Yep. Ringing of the bell.
Yep.
Yes.
It can be that simple. It does not have to be complicated.
No. And you hit the nail on the head before too, where you mentioned that sound then needs to be used not just on the radio, but in your social media videos, in your TV advertising. You need to utilize it everywhere so that you create that consistency in your brand. That's why Toyota does this very well. The oh, what a feeling. That McDonald's does it. You see the golden arches are popping and everything, and the I'm loving it on screen, or they say it, or they jingle it, or they bop to it, something.
That's right.
There's always that connection to it so that it's associated, and that's very important. And I think the last thing I want to say in there is tone.
Yes.
Tone is important. So if you've got a fun brand and you want to be jokey and jovial, then be jokey and jovial, but keep it consistent.
Yep.
Don't fluctuate up and down, because otherwise you'll lose that consistency again. Tone does form part of identity, and it's something that people overlook all the time, but it's something that you do need to consider regarding, when you're writing a commercial, does it fit the tone of what we've been doing align with it? Yeah.
That's exactly right, because it's no different than if you were doing any kind of visual advertising.
Yep.
Your logo is just as important as the colour that you use, making sure that you use always
the fonts,
same.
as the everything. Yeah.
And you might have done it subconsciously.
Yes.
But make sure that when you review something, you actually do go, have I done this in alignment with our, doesn't have to be a written brand guideline, but a guideline.
But we would recommend that.
Absolutely.
It's something that we do. But yes, and it is important. And it amazes me out there, the amount of people who don't have that consistency because they just don't take the time to write it down and document what they've done, basically.
Yeah.
So, yes. All right, we're getting the wrap up, so we better, we're being told to shut up.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in again to another episode of The Hop. So to keep up to date with all the latest marketing trends, make sure you subscribe below. Special thanks to Kira for popping in and chatting more about radio.
Thanks.
Yes, thank you. I think it was very good, very informative. Hopefully some people get some things out of it.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get some more questions. We'd love to be able to answer any more questions that they have.
Absolutely.
But if you also have an opinion about what we've talked about today, feel free to share your comments below via our socials. And stay tuned for more from The Hop, helping you to get your marketing hopping.